This is the Film Geeks podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the people of the realm, welcome to a brand new edition of the Film Geeks podcast. And well, this is the small council meeting, and this is a spin-off where we will be talking Game of Thrones. And like we promised earlier, we will be reviewing every episode for you without wasting any more time. And with me, as always, are my comrades and cohorts. The small council members, of course, as always, are Arindam and Anir. We were invited, in fact, the Film Geeks podcast through Indian, we were invited by Hotstar and HBO to the special screenings which happened in Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore. And I, in fact, attended the Bangalore leg, and Anirban, I think, attended the Delhi leg. So, Anirban, let's start with you. How was your experience?
The screening itself was nothing special to write home about. I'm not talking about the screening in specifically the episode. I'm talking about the all of what was went into organizing it. So it happened in Monkey Bar in Delhi, and it was organized by Hotstar as well as Comic Con, and we were invited there. It was very near from where a friend of mine stays, so it was a walking distance. I went out there, and they had a few free gifts, which contained either a diary or a toy, a Funko toy, which is the White Walker Funko toy. It was very beautiful. So all of that is much appreciated. The screening itself ran into a few issues because these guys hadn't adjusted the screen, the projector brightness and contrast, so we had to actually watch the first 5 minutes in total darkness because we couldn't make out what was happening. Cut back to after 5 minutes, they finally realized, and then they had to sort of adjust all the settings on the projector, and after which we were able to watch it without any issues. The problem is that most of the people who were invited were not actually fanboys, but I think they just had scored the passes through a few connections. What happens then is you have I have many wannabes and really guys who don't know anything about the show, or probably must have watched a few episodes. Mostly you have bandwagon jumpers, and these guys will be interrupting the whole thing. They'll be busy on their social media apps, and they'll be taking pictures. I don't know if you don't know this, but if the whole place is darkened for a show, anybody who is in front of you and picks up their phone and starts watching it, it's a very irritating thing because the brightness hurts your eyes. It sort of distracts you from the whole experience. So I had this few people speaking non-stop about how the shows, how they hadn't watched the show, and this was very irritating, and that is something that that can't be helped. But all in all, the episode was nice. I think what Hotstar has done is very amazing because they are releasing it around with a 7 minutes lag from the actual American airing, which makes it very difficult for you to consider downloading the show illegally. You can now legally just stream it with in just 7 minutes. Even if you watch the show, prefer downloading the episodes, you will know that it takes at least 3 to 4 hours for the torrent to actually get uploaded. So this is something that these guys have run very effectively. I think it's a very good initiative. So I'll say that Hotstar has done a good job. I don't know what things they're running in the backgrounds to have scored such a deal, but I think it's one of the things that actually can result in the death of torrents if you think about it that way, because you're actually getting to watch it before the torrents even gets uploaded. So in that sense, yeah, they have done a very good job. So that's what the experience was. The screening itself wasn't too much fun for me, but the episode certainly was. I had held off on watching the episode till the evening so that I could catch it, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much because of the people involved and not because of what Hotstar had done or the episode itself.
I think I'm the only one who watched it right in the morning when it was going to be uploaded, and they had given it time and they had publicized it that at 7:30 a.m. dot they would start, and many of us were just waiting. We had put an alarm and everything, and then Hotstar starts acting up, and they did not have the service running for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then I just hope that next week this does not happen as well, because I certainly think that they did not anticipate that this many people would be subscribing to it, and hopefully they've upgraded the servers and done all the necessary changes for the operation to run smoothly for the next 6 weeks now.
Yeah, so I also watched it in the morning, and yeah, I ran into similar problems. And what I did was normally what I usually do when an app kind of acts up, I reinstalled the app, and yeah, it was working perfectly. So it took me like around about it was at 7:30, but I kind of sleep pretty late, so it takes me a while to wake up in the morning. So I woke up at around about 7:30, and after I started watching at 7:45, and it was working fine for me. But yes, it definitely went to social media. The memes obviously became viral that Hotstar had stopped working, and it has stopped working for a lot of people as well. I completely get that. Coming back to my experience, I had gone to the B Flat Bar, which is there in Indiranagar, 100 Feet Road. It's a great place. I mean, it's always a good time when you go there. I have been there earlier as well for random gigs and stuff, so it is a good place. And the problem I faced, the only issue I faced was the screen was way too small. It was just like a 32-inch a projector screen. So that's what it was, and I kind of reached late because Bangalore traffic and all of that. So it was supposed to start at 7, and I reached at around about 7:10ish or so, and I saw that it had still not started. So it took them an hour or so. I mean, the show started at 8:15. And for that hour, they kept playing music. And before the show started, this was interesting. I don't know if this happened in Delhi, but this was interesting. One girl came full costume as Khaleesi, and she gave a 5-minute speech in High Valyrian, which was fucking brilliant. And everyone was just, in awe of what the fuck was going on. And yeah, they had played some background music then, so which was a little loud, so you could miss a little bit of what she said, but it was fucking fantastic. It was a good time. I mean, yeah, you obviously ran into some issues. I mean, with the streaming, with the lag, with the internet connection that we have in this part of the world. So you have some issues there, but once it started, I mean, I remember people like chanting shame. There were people cheering every time you saw these main characters, especially Lyanna Mormont and Jon Snow. Every time they appeared, there were huge cheers. I mean, people sang along with the Game of Thrones theme song, which was something which Bangalore has become an expert in, I guess, because I attend these football screenings as well, and there are football songs which play. So this is definitely a good place for these kind of activities. I'm not really sure of how it is in Bombay. I'm hearing good things about that place as well, but I can only speak of Bangalore because I've attended screenings here before. Bangalore is definitely a fantastic place for having these things, and I'm really looking forward to if anyone from Hotstar is listening, apart from the 5 regular people who listen to this show, which includes us. So if anyone from Hotstar is listening, you guys need to do more of this, because this is just a good thing, and this is fucking fantastic, especially for a country which does not have a lot of great entertainment, especially when it comes to the ones made in India. So that being said, let's start with you, Arindam. What did you make of the first episode? It was called Dragonstone, released on Monday, 17th last week. And what did you make of the episode?
Yeah, I liked the opening episode a lot. I thought it was a lot stronger compared to the earlier seasons that they have, because as we all know, the first 2 or 3 seasons tend to the first few seasons, the opening episodes at least, tend to drag a bit comparatively, but this was just unrelenting. I really liked what they did over here. They covered almost everything. The next episode will solely be related to Khaleesi and a few other characters, but this was But it was one of the most strongest intros that we've seen. The moment that the phrase just gets slaughtered by Arya, that is one of the strongest openings that I think has been done till now in a pilot episode for in the opening episode for Game of Thrones. I really like that, and also the Hound is one of my favorite characters. So him getting a significant portion of the entire running time was a great thing for me.
Yeah, this is what I like to call context city because I think the first episode is always dedicated to setting a base for everything that happens afterwards. And Game of Thrones, like you said, Arindam has been very guilty of that. It's usually very slow to pick up. I mean, we tend to wait for a whole year, and the first episode generally underwhelms. This has not been the case for this one. I agree with you completely on that. I think this first scene itself on the crossing where Arya does what she does, I think that sets up very strong episode after that. The episode obviously is called Dragonstone, and it builds up very slowly. It takes you from there to Winterfell, where obviously you have a lot of things happening. You have John, who is now the King of the North, the proclaimed King of the North. But then you see that Sansa is perhaps not very sure of her brother's uh, the direction in which he wants to go to, and obviously Littlefinger is always there with his machinations to try and play his games. From there, we move on and see that Cersei is where she is, and obviously I think as this season progresses, we'll see a lot of distance between being built between her and Jamie, and the introduction of Euron Greyjoy is certainly a very interesting you know, factor that will obviously culminate in us seeing more armada battles, I believe, and that'll be interesting. Now, the interesting things in this is obviously the citadel where Sam is right now, and his interaction with the Archmeister. Uh, but it was a good section, It was very fast cuts, fast edits, in which they show the despair and the monotony of the life which Sam is leading, and how he is obviously uh, not allowed to go into the restricted section, and this is something that became a focal point in his all his conversations. Obviously, it's all building up to one place in the end, and it was this episode. Even if Daenerys had the least amount of screen time, I still believe that this was Daenerys's episode at the end of the day, even though she had very little to do. Uh, but her appearance and on the shores of Westeros is finally it's like it's a culmination of all the past seasons, and that in itself is so impactful. And the last line that she utters before the credits roll in, it's just something that's been in the making for so many years now that it has a lot of impact. Obviously, like Arindam said, I think Sir Clegane is Sandor Clegane's banter with the Brotherhood without banners was actually one of the funniest ones that we have seen in a while, and it was very interesting to watch. His interest in religion is something that was explored in the last season, and now I think we are seeing a definite distinctive leaning towards him being a very important part of the whole religion and or cult around the Lord of the Light. So we will see how it goes from there onwards. But definitely, as I said, this is an episode that belongs to Daenerys, even though she had the least amount of screen time, at least for me.
Did anyone notice Sansa's hairstyle? And don't you think that was very reminiscent of how Cersei used to wear her hair before she got a haircut? When she says that I admire Cersei, or at least she went to that direction, I kind of have a feeling, I know where this storyline might be going. Probably she doesn't go full Mad Queen on us, but yeah, she definitely might just put some spanner in the works. I also like the soup and poop montage. But then again, this episode did something which many episodes try, but fail on so many different levels. This episode gave us nothing new, but they showed all of these things in such a way that it came across as new information. Because Stannis Baratheon in the previous seasons has said about the dragon glass. He has mentioned where you can get the dragon glass. It's just that Sam finds this information out and he sends out a raven to Jon Snow and in Winterfell. So this was a new information which only eagle-eyed fans would be able to would be able to catch, I thought. So this was one. I absolutely loved Arya's sequences. I mean, the cold open was fucking fantastic. Game of Thrones never ever does cold opens, but they did, and it was fucking fantastic. I mean, winter comes for House Frey. Oh my god! I mean, like I had goosebumps right there. And then you had a little bit of cringe. I mean, what the fuck was that? The entire Ed Sheeran sequence. That does not make sense. It's everything against what Lannisters are built up to be. I completely understand what they are going for. You want to give them a little bit of a human face, etc., because make them out not to be as bad as they have been portrayed for all this while. You want to make them up as the lesser evil as compared to the White Walkers and the Night King. But this was a little bit cringeworthy, especially with the way it came across. So that was my only gripe. I mean, fucking Euron, the King of the Gods. That guy was a fucking scene stealer. He had some of the best lines. I understand you guys loved our boy Sandor Clegane's interaction with the Brotherhood Without Banners, but I loved the zingers which Euron created, just one after the other. It was fucking fantastic. So this actually does a great job in building up what we can expect from this season. This season will be fucking relentless. If you guys, we have still not discussed the trailer, and we are not going to discuss the Game of Thrones trailer because none of us have watched it. But I think the war will start in this season, and when it does, and if at all it does, it's going to be fucking fantastic, which will make Bastard Bowl or the Battle of the Bastards look like a very, very small thing in the grand scheme of things.
I think that the reason why they are shorter episodes this time is because they want to focus all of that budget into making those huge battle sequences. I don't think they are going to shy away from it anymore after watching Hard Home last season. I don't think they're going to do that anymore. And they're going to actually show the entire battle and the entire sequences without any, clever edits like they did during the Blackwater when Tyrion blacks out, and they just skipped that entire part, which was clever. But again, this being one of the latest seasons, we should get that entire war that has been promised to us. Also, regarding that Ed Sheeran entire scene, I don't think it was making the Lannister army humanizing them, but I think it was humanizing Arya because she just slaughtered a room full of people. But again, the way that it was done, just because Ed Sheeran can sing, there have been bigger bands and bigger entities that have come and given cameos on Game of Thrones, but this was just too much. Like, it was right on the nose. In this episode itself, we had Brandon Taylor from Mastodon. It was so well done. Also, the Coldplay members during Red Wedding and Sigur Rós during the episode in which Joffrey gets poisoned. I thought they should have done something similar to that rather than, just introducing an entire song, and it ran for quite some time. So that was a bit weird, and I'm pretty glad that his Twitter got, taken down by the entire backlash. And don't you think the entire thing with the banter that the Hound does is just like the hatred of Benoff and Weiss that they have against hipsters and all the top knots and everything? Because I thought that was like he was just insulting them left and right. I really like that. One more thing is that in Dragonstone is the only place in which dragon glasses or it has to be mined, and some of the pictures that were leaked when before the season came out, it showed Jon Snow meeting Sir Dany, so that is the context of it. But the interesting thing is that the only person that we know who has defeated Grayscale is Shireen. And guess where Shireen was born and brought up? In Dragonstone. So I think that was a pretty neat Easter egg which was running all along. And I just can't wait to see what happens on the next episode.
Speaking of Easter eggs, did you guys catch the Harry Potter reference?
Yeah, the forbidden section,
Yep.
the restricted section of the library.
Yes,
And it was Horace Slughorn.
yes, Jim Broadbent again playing the professor who is going to deny you from going into the whole restricted section of the library. But then it also draws this interesting comparison as it's Tom Riddle versus Sam. I don't think that there is anything to that, but yeah, it will be interesting to see if he also goes the same way.
I don't think Sam is turning evil anytime soon, but yeah, he will have a major part to play, especially when it comes to tying Jorah Mormont back to Dragonstone. I think that is going to be his major role, and obviously the various uses of Dragonstone. Because as of now, we just know of two different things by which you can defeat White Walkers. One is Valerian Steel, which is rare, and Dragonglass, which is rarer. So just before you guys give your ratings for this episode, what do you think is the gift that Euron has promised?
I think it's going to be Tyrion. That's the obvious answer, and that is maybe one of the things that Cersei actually wants. It's to kill her little brother. So I'm guessing it has to be Tyrion.
I will cheat a bit. I have a friend who reads the books, and he has given me a hint, so I will divulge that because I do not care about the fucking books because I haven't read them, and I don't think that they are going to be completed anytime soon. Okay, so Euron in the books, allegedly he has a lot of magical artifacts, and one of them being the dragon horn, which has the capability to control dragons.
Yeah, it's
So
called
if
the
he
Dragon
gives-
Binder.
Yeah, the dragon binder. So if he gives that to Cersei and Dany attacks, then Drogon again will be with the Lannisters, which no one sees coming. And I think that is a very probable thing that might just happen.
I also feel the same. I honestly think that it's going to be the Dragon Binder, but in the context of like how far the show has, taken a completely different route from the books, like we've seen from the past couple of seasons. I think it's going to be Tyrion, but if you want to stick to canon, I think it's going to be the Dragon Binder. But if the Dragon Binder comes into place, I really want to see the Horn of Winter, because if you go back to a couple of seasons ago, when Sam and the other crows had gone to the Fist of the First Men, they actually found obsidian, that is dragonglass, and they had found a horn. That can very well be the Horn of Winter. So what the Horn of Winter does, it allows you, the wielder, to control the army of the dead. It gives you power over the Night King, and it can also raise ice dragons. So that is what I'm really excited for. I still feel, this is what I've been saying for years, I still feel at the end of the day, it's going to be, like the story says, a song of ice and fire. And by ice, we obviously mean the White Walkers, and the people who will be controlling the White Walkers will be the Starks, especially Jon Snow, and they'll be going and duking it out with the Targaryens. So that is where I think the story is going to head. That is just my personal belief, and I would love for it to transpire that way. And that being said, let's get down with your ratings. Arindam, what would be your rating for this episode?
This is solid A for me. I really liked how they set it up, and I just can't wait to watch the next season. And I honestly do not feel that I will be rating any episode of Game of Thrones under A.
Agreed. I think I would go for a higher rating, but as I said, this is a Context City episode, so for me it'll be an A.
Yeah, it's an A for me as well, because this episode, although it was around 58 minutes in length, it didn't feel that long. It was extremely well edited. The pacing was fucking excellent, and despite Ed Sheeran's stupid face, this episode gets an A. Right, so again, thank you both of y'all for being a part of this show as always, and that brings our show to a close, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can check out all of our regular and our old podcasts by visiting www.indiannerve.com/podcast and like our Facebook page as well. Aditya from the Film Geeks podcast writes great reviews of every episode of Game of Thrones. You can check that out. We will link it in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and click on that bell icon so that you don't miss out on an episode, and especially on a review of Game of Thrones. Obviously, we'll have a lot of spoilers, so if you want some fan theories, if you want to know what we think about every episode of Game of Thrones, make sure that you like, share, subscribe to this channel. And on this video, you can find us on SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. All of that shit is in the description below, or visit us at www.indiannerve.com/podcast. If you want to check out our previous episodes, like I mentioned, I'd like to thank all you listeners for your time. And please like and share this video, subscribe to this channel. So from all of us here, wherever you're listening to, we hope that you're having a great day, and Valar Morghulis.